And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Here we go again. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Who's Views. It's your big show on Monday, the 2nd of June, 2025. It is indeed headlines. Great to see you all. Thank you. And another part in our discussions about that crap that was on television on Saturday night, quite frankly. If you were with us last night for our big show, our big review show about the reality war, great to see you. We're going to continue the chat going on now. We're going to keep it going because there have been some developments. Because have you heard? Well, of course, Saturday's edition of Doctor Who has caught the attention of the great British media. We're going to be looking at the headlines from them in this particular edition. Oh, yes. Fans are yet again unhappy. We're going to be talking about some of that because we're still divided, and I think even more so now. Be interesting to see what the guys have got to say about that. I think it's even more because some of the ones that were liking this, quite rightly, have just said, hang on a minute, what have you done? And they've become quite unhappy. I can understand that, and they have every right to be. And yes, because it's your favourite, Bedweir's here with us with the ratings updates. Ooh, I hear you all say. I know, isn't it exciting? I'm so looking forward to that one. Great to see you all coming into the chat. I want to say a huge thank you straight away to Lex Kane for his super chats. Cheers, Lex. Hi, JT and the team. He can't make it tonight's show because he's helping at this special needs group at church. Can you say hi to Paul, Ian, Terry, and Robert? Well, hello to Paul, Ian, Terry, and Robert. Hope you are well. And one more thing, says Lex. You can't call it Doctor Who RTD. It's Rose Tyler or Bad Wolf TV show. It's not Doctor Who. Thank you for all that, Lex. I hope everything's going all right this evening with you. No, it's not Doctor Who. I think we're all agreed on that one, Who viewers, aren't we? I know somebody that is totally agreed with that. It's Third Doctor, Ian.
Oh yeah.
Yep. You are
Don't
very
agree with that. Not argue with it at all. Yeah. It's not. It's not just like we were saying last night. There's just too much, isn't there? That was since 2005. There's been too many things cropping up that just don't sit right. That just aren't quite right with what we know of Doctor Who since 1963, culminating in that backstory for Omega, which was completely at variance with what we've known since 73. So I don't buy it. It's an alternate universe Doctor Who. It's not the one that we love, and he's royally buggered it up anyway. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were saying this last night, and the more I thought about that today, I was thinking it's very easy to do that, isn't it? From Capaldi on, you shift it. It's very easy to do that. Glenn Piper thinks Rose surely isn't the Doctor, though, is she? There has to be a catch-up. Am I wrong? You're absolutely right. It's all done as a gimmick. We were saying this last night, Glenn, on our review show. This is a gimmick. This is desperation to keep the show in the eye or keep it in suspense because currently it's out of production. Stuart Barham's with us as well, and he's blaming you here. Good evening, panel chat. I'm still hungover from the Third Doctor's drinking game last night.
You're more than welcome.
Oh, you poor Stuart. Never mind. Stephen's with us. Hello, Stephen Bellow. Hack RTD wouldn't surprise me. And hello, Julianne. Yes, here we go again. Oh, and there's a great picture. One of my favorite moments from Tom's first story there in Robot. I love that. That's how you do the face thing, isn't it? They've tried to capture it several times, but that's how they do it. It's great to see you all in the chat. Thank you. Have you seen this, as Graham? Have you seen those lovely pics of Tom in his garden in his season 18 coat? I've just seen them on Twitter. Really lovely to see him. No, Graham, I haven't. So we'll look out for them and we'll put them into a future show, I think, so we can share them all. But no, yeah, I'll look them out. Thank you, Graham. If you've got a link or something for me, mate, send it out. You know where to go. And that reminds me, actually, for everybody that wants to get in touch, I'm going to say to you now, I got home tonight and started preparing this show. There's a lot in this show tonight, so we had to do a lot of work on that. I checked the emails very quickly at whosviews1@gmail.com. It's inundated, Ian. I've got loads of emails in there. I will be.
Good
I will
stuff.
get to them. Yeah, I will look at them, everybody, tomorrow night probably. So I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But bear with me. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can. whosviews1@gmail.com. There you go. On that particular point as well, I want to say a huge thank you to somebody that has mentioned us over the last few days on his Twitter account, very kindly saying that he watches all the time and really enjoys our content. And it's a young man called Disparu.
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your shout out. And I'm glad you're enjoying our content and welcome to Whose Views. It's always nice to hear from other people that are doing what we do. So, yeah, nice to hear from you. Thank you very much. Right, let's
Lovely.
show tonight, shall we? And Paul's working tonight, everybody. Oh, bless him. Yes, he's out there
Ooh.
working. But let's bring the gang on, because coming back to see us is, of course, Bedweer with his ratings analysis. That'll be coming up shortly. And joining us on headlines, the lady of the chat herself, it's Kirsty. Here she is, causing trouble. Yeah. And you have been causing trouble, lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
Outrageous.
And I've got the proof, because on the RTD Instagram, which that one there watches, well, he's been playing silly buggers, actually, everybody. Of course he has, because he Instagrammed or posted, or whatever you want to call it, this particular picture. Outside the TARDIS control room set there is Billie Piper's director's chair, obviously the chair that she was given when she was done doing her 5 minutes. It wasn't even 5 minutes, was it? It was 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And as you can see there, Russell T. Davis posted this. Raggedy Who, you're absolutely washed, Russell. Oh, good for you, Raggedy Who. And then it goes on with some replies. Jack Nerd Returns says, big time. It's Soapy, 123. Nothing on his first era. And then somebody called Kirsty goes, yes. So she's in there as well on that one, everybody. Can you see that? You naughty little thing.
Troublemaker.
God bless her.
That's the DE. That's the DE princess stuff.
Well, I say good for you. Good for you, everyone. Don't you? Because don't you, who viewers? We've got to get the message over to him now. I do think some messages have got through to him. Because Saturday's show had everything plus the kitchen sink in it, and nothing worked at all, Bedweer. Because you didn't watch it, did you? But nothing worked in that show at all. It was blooming awful. It was terrible. It was confused. It was boring. It was dull. It was not excited at all. There was a whole re-edited scene at the very end that was just completely reshot and redone. Oh, it was all awful. But yeah, but it hasn't stopped the BBC, because on their social media, to this minute, on their social media, they're still posting pictures from that final episode, including this one that came out yesterday. I think this was while we were on air. There it is there. So they're pushing this whole sort of the Shooty Gatwa family type thing. And they've just done it about 5 minutes ago as well. But look at this. This is apparently on his last day filming.
I would entitle that composition "Smug Twats."
It's not very good, is it?
I mean, I had a great evening on Saturday night. It was so I found Curse of Peldon on You and Eden +1. So I was watching that. I love Curse of Peldon. Great story.
Right.
But I didn't watch the episode, but I was fascinated to see what the reaction was. So I was basically just scrolling through hashtag Doctor Who on the product formerly known as Twitter. It's still on my phone as Twitter. And just tracking it as the episode went out. And it was hilarious. Like just everything from, oh, we're back to the Time Hotel. I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Glad I didn't watch, because I wouldn't have known what was going on, because I don't recognize any characters from that episode or any of that content, because I wasn't in it, but sounds fairly convenient.
Yeah.
Then we get on to the return of Omega for 5 minutes, and the eating of the Rani, and everyone's going, oh my, was that it? Even like the major fans who you know are going to be talking it all up, they were all going, hang on, there's half an hour left. What's supposed to fill it now? And then it just meanders. Everyone goes mental about Jodie Whittaker being back. and then it meanders some more, and ultimately he regenerates into Billy Piper, which is when everything went mental and everyone's even those really hardline loyalists to RTD are thinking, what's the ever-loving FC UK anagram have you done? Because like it's okay, we've had actors be in the show and come back and been cast as the Doctor, but when it's someone like Billy Piper who's so wedded to the modern series, it's madness, and plus it just smacks of repeating the same trick you tried with David Tennant for
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's what the whole episode was, though, Bledry. It was repeating everything he tried to do. He tried to repeat the Stolen Earth. He tried to tie everything up. He tried to make us care about the blooming characters that were in there, and we can't because we've only had 5 or 6 episodes. When you think about it, he wasted Bonnie completely. He wasted Mel, wasted the Rani, wasted Omega. It was bloody awful, Bedouin. It was shocking.
What about Susan?
Oh, Susan, yeah.
Well, what genuinely surprised me though is, as I say, those really hardline, staunch RTD defenders were starting to turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
And
we're acknowledging that was nonsense, a total waste. 66 minutes of guff. And it really was an eye-opener, I've got to be honest. And obviously, we'll talk later about how it's been on the front pages of some of the papers today, and it's generated conversation. We're here talking about it again. I spent 45 minutes on the phone to my grandmother on Saturday night because she was moaning about it and saying how poor it was and what a load of nonsense it was and why is he wearing a dress, all that stuff. So it was for generating discussion, then it absolutely achieved that. But unfortunately, it was for all the wrong reasons.
Totally all for wrong reasons as well. We've Mark A. Wright is saying to us, we never saw his face change into Billy Piper. We didn't know. There was a nest between Ncuti going to Billy appearing, a ludicrous culmination to an embarrassment of a franchise. Marie UK, they even mentioned how Doctor Who has had terrible ratings on the radio on my way home from work today. It has been on the BBC. We're going to be talking about that more in future headlines as well, because some of them at the BBC have started to now say it on BBC Radio. On the alternative media, of course, Marie UK, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. Chris Maples, hello all. This is my first live event with this nice channel. Greetings from the USA. Well, Chris, welcome to Who's Views. It's good to see you. Hope you are well, and welcome. You are really welcome. You're all welcome. It's always nice to get some new people saying hello to us. Thank you for coming into the chat. Adrian wants to know, have we recovered from Saturday night? No, quite frankly, I still haven't. I'm going to be in therapy for at least a year, I tell you. And it helps coming here, though. This is part of the therapy, isn't it? Where we can all chat and talk together.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll recover before Russell T Davis's career does, though.
Whoa,
I mean, he's still in the throes of his insufferable smugness, isn't he? Where everything he does is brilliant, and the mouth goes like Wallace from Wallace and Gromit with the teeth and everything, brilliant, and all this kind of crap. But he'll soon realise what a massive misstep he's made over the last few years, and he's not going to come back from it. He'll try and bluff it out. He'll fall back on his mates to try and give him work and stuff like that. But I think his career's cooked. And good, because it deserves to be. He's an overrated hack that derives most of his work from other people's efforts.
He can't write. I'm going to continue saying that on probably every show that we have to deal with him on. He's not a writer anymore. Everybody thinks he's some sort of Hercules of the writing industry. He's not. Just look at the last couple of series of Doctor Who he's done. Bloody awful. And he turned it into a soap. Sheila B. in the Devotions, I feel very sad that Doctor Who has been bastardized. Doug D. Hello, guys. Let's face it. It will take an act of God to fix what they've done to Doctor Who. It would take an act of God to get people back watching. Martin Brown says, when's the first Billy Piper episode coming out? Do you know, there are some fans out there insisting that she's going to do, is this one of the rumors? And thanks to Richard, who joins us for our Blake 7 shows, Richard Ashton, because he's working on the Blake 7 special effects as well for the Blu-rays. So he joins us. back next Monday with Blake Seven, everybody. But he sent me this thing saying, have you seen this rumor? And it's a rumor come from Doctor Who fans that what they'll do is they'll use Billy in 3 specials next year to launch the new Doctor. Well, they've just done that with David Tennant.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It didn't work, did it? It did not work. So I can see it being one Christmas special, possibly next year, not 2025, but possibly end of 26, maybe 27, if at all, where she's playing some character or something. Or so the people think that some people think it's that she's the heart of the TARDIS or something nonsense like that, you know. And anyway, it's ridiculous.
There is no heart to this TARDIS. There's no heart to this series. It lost that years ago, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for your super chat, PTA. Even Harbo Holmes, who's a YouTuber who has always defended this crap, really has said he's perplexed and given up on it after watching that pile of and a final. Oh, really? That's what I mean. And, you know, I feel very sorry. I was saying this last night, Bedouin. I feel very sorry for the fans that watched every episode of Gatwa and liked it for whatever reason, probably because they feel that the Duty Pound 2 like it. And then that happened on Saturday.
A lot of the fans that were really into Shooty were angry that he's gone, disappointed that he's only done 2 series. I had a friend of mine messaging me again on Saturday night saying that he was gutted that he'd gone because he quite liked Shooty and what he brought. Each to their own. I can't comment because I haven't really watched much of him apart from 2 episodes. So, but yeah, you know, even those who were into this era, they're really annoyed because he's gone. So it's really alienated everyone. It's madness. I can't believe
That's quite a feat, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a huge feat. Yeah, and to alienate millions of the British public, building on what Chibnall did. Congratulations, RTZ. Well done.
Oh, well, the general public weren't watching anyway, but now he's alienated the fans that were really into it. All of us who were told to touch grass anyway. And I don't know who's going to be left.
Yeah. Legion of James saying, on a positive note, maybe this undeniable disaster will prompt the BBC to pull their fingers out and release the standard edition Blu-rays faster to recoup the money. I can but dream. Yeah, because James and myself, of course, are buying the standards. I am hearing, yes, there's a couple of announcements coming very soon. One about a limited edition and one about a standard release, but that won't be an announcement though. It'll just be thrown out there. Do you know what I mean? So stay tuned for us, because as soon as we know, we'll all come back and we'll have a little celebration, shall we? Let's do that. Chris Maples, our new boy, is saying to us, personally, I'm somewhat positive mood. I yelled a cheer at the TV when he regenerated. Thank goodness he's gone. I just wish he'd taken everybody else with him, Chris. You know, the production team, RTD, everybody like that. That's what I wish. And Andy Gladhill is saying to us, it was funny when the Facebook Doctor Who group posted a video of a cinema screen showing there were tons of empty seats. Did you guys see that? It was somebody's phone, wasn't it, Kirst? Somebody who had attended the event was obviously filming something which they're not supposed to do. I suppose I know, but they were filming the end, and it was the alleged regeneration, which isn't a regeneration because it's not finished. And but the Billy bit comes on and people started whooping and cheering and yeah. But there was hardly anybody in there.
I did look up my local cinema. So one in the centre of Cardiff actually had it over 2 screens. One of them was the smallest screen in the building. I know from having worked there years and years ago. But it was quite well sold, you know, quite a few seats taken. The cinema a bit closer to me was less well sold. So, you know, maybe the production team or whoever's left in Cardiff decided to go along and watch it in the cinema. But unfortunately, we don't have the box office numbers. We will be back later in the week to talk about those figures when they do come up.
Exactly. So make sure you're with us. We'll be back definitely on Wednesday at 8 o'clock for headlines as well. The thumbnail's already up there with a question for you. Tenacious. Hello, Tenacious. I'm a wilderness years kid. Very good. So there's been no Doctor Who on television. It just returned to the old normal for me. Yeah, that's the good thing. You know, if you were there last time around, like we all were, apart from Kirst and Bedouin, if you were there, this is going to be plain sailing for you. You know, because we went through 15 years. You know, I'm not saying this next hiatus is going to be that, but it could be just a year. We do know, I'm going to say it again, in case you are new to us, we do know that BBC Studios are desperate to keep this thing going. That's what we know. So it's just the format and what they're going to do and how. Jane Smee, hello Jane. At least they didn't kill Mel off. I suspect she was the original sacrifice and that the last scene of her with Conrad was a reshoot. That whole element, that whole 20-25 minutes at the end of it was completely brand new. All of it. And Mel was originally allegedly in the scene that we told you about on last night's show. We showed a picture from the cut scene where they are actually celebrating the May Day and they're celebrating having defeated the Rani and Omega. Which would have included Susan as well on a gantry. That whole scene is now gone. It's now gone. It will never be seen because he didn't regenerate in it. It bled into Series 3. And Gav B is saying, I must have been being influenced by this garbage as I've just ordered Season 26 Collection Blu-ray Standard Edition. Okay, Gav B. Yeah, you know, as I said, Gav, I'm never going to slag off anything. I will watch Time Flight quite happily now and shut up and love it. The Twin Dilemma, can't wait to watch it. It's fabulous. Because I've just slipped through.
Yeah, even Time Lash is worth a rewatch, isn't it?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. I love Time Lash now. I absolutely love Time Lash. I'm going to get a T-shirt, Time Lash fan. Yeah, never going to slag any of them off again. It's great to see so many of you in the chat. Lovely, 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 lovely. Inspector number 23, the TARDIS jumped universes when it exploded in Twice Upon a Time. It didn't explode again in that one, did it? Why are they always blowing it up? And what happened to
it exploded when she touched the console. So it exploded after she arrived. So you really need this huge explosion before she arrived, don't you really? He regenerated in the TARDIS and she was good there. And she put that Sheffield accent on and just went brilliant, and then boom, and she got sucked out into space, but unfortunately was able to breathe.
The TARDIS didn't like her or something, is that right? Threw her out.
It was preempting the rest of us, really, wasn't it?
The TARDIS has always been light years ahead of the rest of us, haven't they? Isn't she? Good girl. Joshua, hello Joshua. Let's be clear, ratings are a dying metric that can't be applied to streaming. We don't on our show as well. We just look at the overnights only. But the other thing about it, Joshua, is that with the streaming, it's massively open to interpretation, because prove to me that it's not a rabid Doctor Who fan going back to watch the episode 8, 9, 10, because we've seen them on Twitter. You must have done as well. I've watched this episode 20 times now. What about you? Oh, I've watched it 30, you know, and that counts as a view. It counts as it registers.
We will be talking about the ratings, and an element of that is the streaming, and we will demonstrate once again how the overnight rating is the most important metric when it comes to the 7-day ratings.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
by
great
the
to see you all. So Clive Calculator is saying it's the new wilderness years. I wonder if Bill Baggs will try to make a comeback. I don't know. He sometimes tunes in to us, so we'll ask him when he comes in. Don't forget, we do have a Doctor Who fan-made film on the way. We're going to be looking at that on this channel as Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion from Phil. That's on the way. And Terrified Monk saying to us, Time Flight, Time Lash, and Twin Dilemma. I wanted to know the worst of classic Who to watch and prove it's best in the current crap. Thank you. It's all brilliant compared to what we've just watched. It's Doctor Who. You can watch any of those three, and it's still Doctor Who. Whatever we think, it's got the feel. That thing that we've just been through over the last 2 years didn't. Okay, let's get on to our first story tonight, everybody, because, yes, the British media has picked this up. There's quite a lot of it, so I don't think we're going to get to fit it in tonight's show, but we'll come back to it because there's a lot to talk about, and I think it's going to carry on. I think this is the snowball, guys. You know, it started on Saturday night, and it's going to continue. But we'll start with this one. I've got two pieces from The Guardian. I've got this one from The Guardian here. Now, this is The Guardian, everybody. Remember that, The Guardian, who have supported this sort of narrative, if you know what I mean, all this nonsense that they push. So this is The Guardian. Doctor Who, The Reality War, Season 2 finale and Ncuti Gatwa era recap. Gatwa regenerated with joy and ended his time piloting the TARDIS in the weirdest way possible. Oh, hello. Yeah, okay, so let's get into it. And just like that, he was gone, and the Ncuti Gatwa era is over. It was the shortest tenure in the role since Christopher Eccleston did just one series in 2005. And even within his brief run, there was more than one episode where Gatwa barely featured. But without doubt, the first black actor to lead the show, I told you it's The Guardian, left his mark on the role, an incarnation with the winning smile, the catchphrase babes, relentless enthusiasm, and without the emotional baggage that was increasingly weighing down his predecessors. He departed with joy. Yeah. With episodes like this, it's very much about enjoying the ride as it rushes from scene to scene without worrying too much about whether the actual plot makes sense. That may not be the kind of Doctor Who everybody wants. The scene between Gatwa and the returning Jodie Whittaker was beautifully played. The lines about the 13th Doctor never telling Yaz she loved her were perfectly pitched by RTD to give closure to the awkward, non-committal scenes we saw between Whittaker and Mandip Gill in The Power of the Doctor from the pen of Chris Chibnall. Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday again shone in scenes where she was the protagonist rather than the sidekick. Her decision after everything he had done to choose the kindness of wishing Conrad happiness rather than vengeance was one of the most Doctor Who-y things to happen. What if Doctor Who did the weirdest thing it could possibly do and appear to cast a former companion as the lead? It's also got this here. Belinda was thankfully back to the spikier version of her that we first met in the Robot Revolution and Lux, rather than the bland version that appeared in the mid-season episodes. But it appears she has departed the show along with Gatwa. It would have been nice to have more of her. The battle scene which pitted the Avengers Tower from Marvel against bone dinosaurs pretending to be AT-ATs from Star Wars was hilarious. But in this episode, it was really only the brief CGI appearance of Omega that was an alien big bad. If the fear last week was the fear of otherness in a dystopian world, the fear here was that of losing a child, or wanting one but never getting the chance. A very human fear that might hit very differently depending on your own personal circumstances. Probably the biggest mystery is that having introduced the cameo of Carol Ann Ford as the Doctor's granddaughter Susan 2 episodes ago, and this episode revolving around whether Poppy was the Doctor's daughter, that the two were not tied together. It was also surely deliberate that the end credits very clearly said Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and introducing Billie Piper, but it did not specify who it was introducing her as. And Anita mentioned the boss, a reference back to a setup by the Meep way back in 2023's 60th anniversary special, The Star Beast, a story that now appears to be 2 Doctors ago. With no confirmed news on the future of Doctor Who, there was a chance this may be the last episode-by-episode recap for some time, or possibly ever. But Billie Piper's appearance didn't feel like the end of the series, did it?
Yeah.
Did it?
I mean, it's a lot to
It was like the end of everything, wasn't it? It was the shark jumpy moment. Whether she's the Doctor or not, it was completely unnecessary. And he had to do it because he can't help himself.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. There are people on the internet, fellow fans, saying that he did it deliberately. Of course he did it deliberately. It starts with Rose back in 2005 and finishes with it 20 years later. Which is just stupid because, as you say, that's jumping the shark. And it's been Doctor Who over the last 2 years has become more and more self-aware.
Yeah,
people out on the show. It's awful.
People picking up on the fact that there's the shot of the TARDIS console, which hasn't gone into darkness like the rest of the console room. So is she has he regenerated into the TARDIS itself, or just it's going to be some sort of nonsensical bollocks that to steal to Dr. Ian's most accurate term. Like even if it does come back and it's not RTD, someone's got a hell of a job trying to unpick this because of what they've been left with.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whole thing. That's what I keep saying. If anybody new comes back as a producer, showrunner, production team, whatever, this version of Doctor Who has so much more baggage than the original version of Doctor Who did, which only had gifts to get people to build on. This has got baggage. The easiest thing they're going to have to do now is just ignore it and start afresh.
It's probably inadvertently done them a favour. You know, he's hoping that they will carry on his legacy, such as it is. But actually, he's put them in a position where they can only just ignore it, reboot it, start it from scratch, or continue it from 89 or 96, whatever, but ignore this and just go with it again. And don't number the Doctors or anything like that, and completely ignore what he's done, which is probably not what he intended, because he wants everybody to idolize him, doesn't he?
Oh, yes, of course he does, because he's so used to it, because his industry adores him and thinks he's a genius and brilliant and wonderful. And yet he always works with the same people. Nobody else is commissioning him. Oh, I'm such a bitch. Austin Woods is saying to us, what about Mavati, the boss, the other half of the Rani, Mrs. Flood, Susan, the incarnation, the 14th incarnation, and his child? That's what I mean. It's baggage. It's unnecessary baggage. That whole 14th incarnation with Tennant was totally unnecessary. But it's because he's a fan, although in my eyes a bit of a weird fan, that has to have everything going from A to B to C to D. Everything has to link up, you know. That's what I think he's about. I mean, he even brought Whittaker back into the show on Saturday night for some unknown reason. We don't know what she was there for.
He's also a producer. He's an executive producer on a show, and he's trying to ratings grab. And this is why when we spoke probably at the outset of this series, when we thought there might potentially be a regeneration at the end, why are they not making more of it? Because that would pop a rating, and it kind of did. It went up a little bit. Maybe if they made more of that, more people would have actually tuned in rather than keeping everything so hush hush and secretive. It's a weird strategy because, yeah, bringing Billie Piper back, she's a great actress and whatever, but she's so, she's already come back in 2013. She came back in series 4. Like, it's ever diminishing returns, unfortunately.
Well, Ian said last night, Bedweir, that RTD needs to stop using his rep company because there's other actors out there. Yeah. Hi, Real Steve. Good evening. How can RTD now insist he has season 3 and 4 written after this hastily cobbled together nonsense? Well, it's not produced yet, so with that, his plans for season 3 or 4 can adapt to go from some sort of special with Billy and whomever. Can you imagine though having to be yeah, you're right. I mean, he's going to have to pick all this up, and he's just going to alienate more people because it's not going to make sense to any of us, because that last one didn't. And he's going to have to finish off the Carol Ann Ford thing in any series on the way. It's not going to work. I've just got the feeling that they've messed Carol Ann Ford around now, and we're never going to see Susan again. That's it. She's lost somewhere out there.
Which is fine. That's absolutely fine, because my fear was that they were bringing her back just to regenerate her, and that would have really angered a lot of people. So at least they didn't do that. It could have been worse.
I had a feeling that was what they were going to do, and have her as a younger version who'd be around and all that nonsense. David B saying the boss was in the Green Death as opposed to the slow death we've had the last few years. And Tenacious is saying, I hope the boss will be Doug Adu.
Oh.
Stephen Jenny Firth. The boss will be a red herring just we watch. You think it's Susan, but it's the master, or worse, the boss. Don't let RTD ruin the Green Death. And it's a story that I seem to recall he said it was one of his favourites, the Green Death. He loved it.
He would ruin anything, though, just as long as it gets him a little bit more publicity. But I mean, we don't know that he didn't regenerate Susan, do we? Because they cut all the scenes. So we don't know, do we?
Well, apparently it was Carol Ann Ford in the original ending on the gantry to lead into the next series.
Oh, yeah,
and remember, we have seen her in a different outfit. She was in a grey outfit.
Yeah.
Poor Carol Ann Ford. It's absolutely well. At least she got money though, eh?
Yeah.
Smiling is with us. Hello, Smiling. Cool Boys Backyard also with us. Doctor Who Massive Reboot is coming. That will have fresh new timeline, not connected to the current show. We won't see Billie Piper and Doctor Who again. We can only hope. But nothing's coming at the moment. But as we say, we do hear BBC Studios, desperate to keep the thing going. Julianne wants to know, cheers. Are we still drinking at the word bollocks then?
Always.
Why not? It's a Monday night. Go for it, kids.
You get water.
Yeah.
Energy juice.
I need to
Chris
sort that out.
Maples saying to us, maybe Mrs. Flood is the smartest of the lot. She looked around and said, oh, well, I'm out of here then, and teleported away from this rubbish. Yeah, that was a cop-out as well, wasn't it, to get rid of what... I mean, Omega, alleged Omega, wasn't Omega. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again in case you're just tuning in. There is no way Bob Baker would have signed off that script. Not a chance would they have got to use his character like that. Not a chance. So the skeleton thing, at one Rani, and the other Rani buggered off.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you're an actor and you look at the way Archie Punjabi's been treated?
Oh,
Like, why are you going to sign up to this show? Like, oh, yeah, Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come and play this, major league character, and then you'll just get me eaten by a CGI nonsense monster.
Absolutely, it was terrible. I'm at that particular point. I'm on watching this, losing heart. Never mind Braveheart. I was losing heart, thinking this is utter crap. What are we watching this for? And then I saw that and I went, oh my god! Lazy writing, misuse of two fantastic iconic characters from our time, where it could have just easily have been his own versions with different names. It was a desperate ploy to try and get all of us back after being told go and touch grass and this show's not for you for years, and it didn't work. The first 12 Doctors have less complicated backstory compared to the mess with the last two eras, says John Steed. Totally agree. Yeah. And Mark Greaves wanted to know, guys, why bother with two Ranis? Anita Dobson could have done everything herself. Why bother with the Rani at all? Why didn't he come up with his own character, Kirsty?
As we know, he can't. He always flunks in a finale and always flunks bringing back classic characters. So why the hell did he even think about having his own character? He just wants to get his little dirty fingers and dirty paws in all classic stuff.
He can't help himself, can he?
Yeah. No. Archie Pindley only signed up to it. She went. There was an interview. She said that she got the call, was in her office, did some research, so hopefully, and I think she must have gone and watched some of Kate's stuff.
I heard that she had, yeah. She said that she had.
And then she liked it because Rani in her culture means queen, and her husband's called Raj. So she was like, oh, I'm going to do it because I'm a queen and my husband's the king.
Oh.
So he always flunks landings with season finales. We knew that since the get-go, and now I know what you're all feeling with Sutek last year, or now with Omega, because that was just horrendous. And with the Rani, he just can't do it. So I'm actually not surprised with what we're chatting about.
This is why, actually, we should never allow him to bring the Daleks or the Cybermen back, because they'll be mincing, prancing around, wouldn't they? Do you know what I mean? Because he can't write them, because he just watched them. Oh god, I'm getting a headache again, everybody. He never explained the Ruby Snow nonsense either. For someone who wants to link everything, he leaves loads of loose ends, says Julianne. Cool. Yeah, he does actually.
She never got a proper ending either.
No, she just disappeared.
She never got a proper goodbye.
I still don't understand, Bedouin, the whole thing about the ending, because it was reshot. It was about, apparently Belinda was a single mother with a baby who turned out to be Poppy, who comes from the first episode, Space Babies. None of us know how she manages to get onto a space station millions of years in the future. We don't understand that at all. So we don't know what's going on. The whole thing with some soap opera about some reason they had to save Poppy. I don't know why. The Rani's gone. Omega's gone. Mel's suddenly disappearing. Millie Gibson's character is suddenly disappearing, and it's suddenly all about this kid for some unknown reason for nearly 25 minutes, I reckon. And it was just a mess, wasn't it, guys? It was just here and here and here and here and here.
Absolute mess.
Yeah. Unbelievable, and it's so confusing. It was just, I mean, you just like, well, you watched it.
Half of that remaining time was people hugging.
Oh.
It was nauseating. Honestly, it really was.
I mean, I saw some of the dialogue between Whittaker and Gatwa, and it did just, it was just vomit-inducing.
Really? I'm not surprised.
The way she just looked at him and said, "Hey, you're right, beautiful you are, aren't you?"
Yeah. Jason Parker saying to us, RTD has only said he has done season 3 and 4 to keep himself in the job with Bog Fanish. No other TV company other than Cringe Toxic Central Channel 4 will touch him. He is poison. I'm going to agree with you, Jason. He's proven that, from kicking off in 2021, 22, whenever it was, award ceremonies onwards. And then this, what he's given us. And we've still got this blooming Sea Devil thing. You've got to keep reminding me, Who viewers, we've got this spin-off to review. 5 episodes, 5 more hours of this rubbish. Graham is saying, now, Carol Ann hinted at the Hammersmith 1960s Girl Convention. It was more a financial decision than anything else to persuade her to come back. Now, Graham there went to this convention, and he's gonna pop on the channel at some point very, very soon, and we're going to talk about his afternoon there and what people on the panel said, etc., etc. So that's something, Graham. I want to know more about what Carol Ann said.
Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Don't blame her.
Especially if it's a loss.
Yeah.
Especially if it was a lot,
Well, it should have been.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was a lot of money, because look, it was coming from, take it and run. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of you in the chat with us this evening. Thank you very, very much. Elvis77 with us as well. The only way to fix this, if an original Doctor came back and was reading a fairy tale story about the adventures of Doctor Who about 13, 14, and 15, so never happened, was not real. Yeah, you see, I think that would alienate the great British public even more. I would just say, here's your Doctor, get on with it.
Yeah.
Just nice and easy. No fuss. Just get on with it.
And don't reference anything that went in this ridiculous era.
Wow, exactly.
Otherwise you give it legitimacy and pull it into your new version, don't you?
That's the danger, though, isn't it?
Mm.
Really?
Just go back to first principles.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. I was trying to find a chat there, but the chat's been going fairly quickly and I can't find it. But thank you, Stride. Many missed opportunities. Could have gotten Brian May to play Flash while he was on that air scooter. Yeah. The Rani's air scooter. That wasn't a marketing gimmick, was it? There was something
from
in the
character
chat there. Sorry, Bedouin.
Oh no, I was just saying something new from character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not gonna.
So you've got the unit building firing these what seemingly look like heavy weapons at these bone things, whilst he's flying off on Flash Gordon's trike, and he decides that the most sensible direction to go in is right through the rib cage of one of these dinosaurs that's being shot at. I would have loved Unit to have accidentally taken him out. It would have been poetic.
It was supposed to be some sort of action scene, wasn't it? But it was just
made him look a tool.
It was just shallow.
Yeah,
it was just shallow.
Above the streets of London, I assume.
Sorry.
Above the streets of London, I assume, and therefore causing untold damage and chaos to the millions of people that live in that city.
No, well, I don't know. It didn't. I don't know because I wasn't that interested. I don't know if you guys saw anything.
Well, what you blow up in the air does tend to end in one direction, doesn't it? And that's where the people are. So you would assume that's what would happen. But, I mean, don't let RTD sit on little facts like that. It's not relevant, is it?
I don't even remember how they were blowing things up because I was so bored by that point. I think I must have fallen asleep. PTA, thank you so much for your super chat. Is the spin-off Greenpeace with lesbian lizards? It looks like it. And that bloody idiot child will probably crop up in it at some point as well. She needs to get back to school, that one, doesn't she? If you're watching, I don't care. Get to school, stupid cow. Anyway, I can't be done with her. Sorry, everybody, I can't be done with her. Now, there was something in the chat, and I've lost it because the chat's moving. Whoever was in the chat, thank you for that. This is news I haven't heard today, but apparently, I wish I could find things. This thing is because it's just going blah blah blah. Anyway, apparently, according to somebody in the chat, please let yourself known. What's his name? My favorite casting director, Andy Pryor, has announced he has left Doctor Who.
Ooh.
Oh, I saw that in the chat. Yeah, I can't remember
who was that said in the chat. I've lost it. I can't see it. Can you put it back in the chat now for you? So I can put it in again now so I can give you a shout out, whoever that was, because that is interesting news, because that's the first of the production team to say they've moved on, even though we've known for some time that they all have. So that'd be interesting. So thank you for that. Can you, whoever it was, pop back in the chat. Kirsten, can you keep an eye out for me on that one as well, because I don't want to miss it again.
But then we've spoken many times. The show is not in production, so I don't imagine he was just sat there in the office just waiting for scripts to arrive so he could look at castings.
Well, he didn't have to because he's independent, of course, as most of them are now, as we know.
Yeah. So I don't think it, but it is a major move to actually be distancing himself from the show.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So if he's come out on his X and said that, that's huge because he's been there since 2004. Wow. He's done all the casting for this show since it came back.
Wow.
And Torchwood, Sarah Jane.
Yeah, I think he was involved in those as well.
Class. The spin-off thing that's coming now. So that would be very interesting. So whoever put that in the chat, I am sorry I lost it. Get yourself back in the chat there and tell me, please, who it was. Say, it was me, it was me, it was me. And I'll give you a shout out because that's great, interesting news. So thank you. Joe Chapman saying rightly, Andy is in RTD bubble firmly. He definitely is. And of course, he's one of the TQ cult as well. They're one of the people that blocked me for saying, excuse me, when they started going on about, you know, trans women are women and trans men are men. I said, hang on a minute, follow that through. You lot are all gay. Think about it. And then they got instantly blocked because, of course, if they thought about it, they've realized I was right and they were wrong. Bloody idiots. Oh, interesting question here. Hey, Jake Hassali, nice to see you again. And Stephen and Jeannie are saying to us, can the BBC afford to make Doctor Who without a financial partner or backer? Apparently not.
Probably not.
This question has been asked. Now, BBC works in very weird ways, doesn't it? And BBC Studios are now the owners, if you like, of Doctor Who. They always had a sort of protective eye to it because under BBC Enterprises, it was Doctor Who that created BBC Enterprises because of the success of the Daleks in '64. So because of that, BBC Enterprises was created. BBC Enterprises then morphed into BBC Worldwide, and that has now become BBC Studios. Go figure. However, they now, like a lot of the BBC's output, own Doctor Who. Now, I always thought that they could BBC Studios could afford to do a Doctor Who show. Apparently not. And because the BBC is desperate to be relevant in the 21st century with streamings and all this sort of stuff, they would prefer to have some sort of financial partner, like they did with Disney, to ensure worldwide availability. Do you see how I'm choosing my words here? Yeah, trying to be very careful.
You only have to look at what's happening on the other channel, where they are making cuts and changes to their daytime schedule that was announced recently, because even their most successful shows, which is, you know, a lot of their weekday daytime stuff, are becoming too expensive. The BBC itself is stripped back on a lot of its productions because of cost, and that's why you're getting more and more repeat material on BBC Two, and you know, daytime, you know, cancelling doctors, things like that. I think the BBC rumored, not confirmed yet. But yeah, if that went as well. So there are, I think, because the standard, particularly for science fiction type drama, as Doctor Who is so massive because it's competing with your streamers, your Disney Plus output, and all that sort of thing. I think it is difficult to do it at that level, but that's only because they insist on ridiculous CGI monsters stomping over London. If actually you cut it back down and made it simpler and more practical based, then yeah, maybe actually Doctor Who would not only be affordable again, but it might actually work a bit better.
It needs to be back to basics. It needs to be about the Doctor in his police box, traveling through time and space, fighting men in rubber suits. Basically, it's got to be monsters, monsters, monsters. That's what brought all of us to Doctor Who. Proper monsters, not the crap they're churning out now that, no offense, look like something from Star Trek. No offense. Doctor Who is totally different when you look at the monsters of Doctor Who. We all know that. Totally. They are monsters. Look at the Yeti, look at the Daleks, look at the Pteroleptals, for crying out loud. You know, it's all totally different. That's what it's got to go back to. And for some reason, RTD doesn't want to do that. That's why I don't think, you know, it's not recognizable. If it's not recognizable to us as fans, what about the not-we's? You know, Hayden, could BBC Studios team up with Netflix? I mean, business deals can be done, but my feeling would be, Hayden, is that apparently they went shopping around for a production partner a few years ago, because that's what BBC Studios wanted to do, and they chose Disney, and they've had a massive flop with it. So what's the attraction?
It's a hard sell, isn't it? It's a really hard sell.
Hard to sell now.
It could go cheaper. It could go cheap. Oh, well, yeah, we're delighted to go into production partnership with you. but we'll give you this amount. Because you've got to prove it first before we invest any more. It's business at the end of the day. Let's hope the BBC can't afford to make it. They've ruined our beloved programme, says our John. I think they've been trusting the wrong people, i.e. RTD this time round, personally. And I think the BBC can make it on their own, says Andy Gledhill. They did it in the Whittaker era. You guys will know more about that than I do.
Yeah, you could hear the tumbleweed there, though, couldn't you? I mean, yes, they made it, but it wasn't. But I mean, you know, all the money that he got since Disney came on board, you could have spent a fraction of that and done something in the style of Robots of Death, for example, just plucking that one out of a classic era. You know, a very confined set, one of your typical base under sieges, brilliant design robots, very claustrophobic, real tension, fantastic story, and a great resolution. You know, a beginning, a middle, and an end. But no, he has to go for all this ridiculous tosh. Sorry, Kirst.
Sorry for interrupting. I just want quarries. I just want them blowing up things. Give them 10p. I want to see that, see how they go. But also, as well, we live in an age where it's all CGI, and it's all computers, and it's all razzmatazz.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for set pieces. I'm a sucker for costumes. I'm a sucker for rubber suits. Why not go back to something like that and encourage the next generation to have something like that to build and be interested in art and technology? And the computer stuff, CGI can be really good when it's done well, but nowadays it's a product machine that you have to consume and then on to the next one. Why not?
That's all it is. Yeah, you're right.
10p to have fun in a malarkey and learn.
Yeah,
it actually breeds creativity because you encourage a visual effects designer to create something with no money.
Yeah, and I'm 26 years prove that. I know times have moved on, but surely if you've got, I mean, I think the reboot Who did very well considering that it was a healthy budget. This one was being far too much. And could you see any difference on screen? No, not really. Just Jordan, thank you very much. It was JFO who mentioned Andy Pryor's departure. Thank you for that, Just Jordan. JFO, that's great, interesting news. I'm going to be looking into that. So if you're still with us in the chat, thank you very much for that piece of information. That's interesting. Wow, the first one to say that he's gone after all these years. 21 years, everybody. He's been there 21 years. Let's go and see before we move on to the next whatever it is. Jason Parker, Doctor Who doesn't need to compete and try to mimic big budget shows. Doctor Who is best when it has a small budget, lots of creativity, simple fun. I don't want it to have a big budget, cheap percent cheerful. Legion of James saying to us, I've just seen the thumbnail for Wednesday's headline show. What the actual hell is that? Fish creature from Del Toro's Shape of Water certainly is not a sea devil. These people are unbelievable. More about that on Wednesday. Stephen Bellows saying, and who needs to be British, not global? It certainly has lost for me that element of being British that would attract people outside the UK like it always did. I can't see it.
Some of that was down to the, frankly, cheapness of it because it made it quirky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And again, down to the creativity as well, you know, because it was always about story, wasn't it? And you had to use your imagination as well.
Yeah. Doctor Who was one of those shows we probably remember, you know, from growing up of thinking, oh, I wonder how they made that. I wonder how they put that together. Now everyone just sits there and say, oh, well, some poor sod has sit at a computer for 6 weeks of his life animating that nonsense. You know, where's the real skill and the art? And, you know, yes, we deride Legend of the Sea Devils, and quite rightly so. But the costumes and the design of those Sea Devils was superb. And those are physical, practical costumes and props and masks. Like, that's what you want. That's what you want to encourage people to get into the industry to do.
Yeah. And if you're anywhere near Peterborough, you can go right now to the Peterborough Art Gallery and Museum, and you can actually see that Legend of the Sea Devil along with his predecessors at their lovely museum, because he's in there, which is fantastic. The actual one that they used on the telly. Frankie, thank you for your chat there. Stephen Bellow is saying, I hope this Disney deal is dead. Apparently, there is some sort of announcement coming very, very soon. That could just be fan wishes, though. I don't think they'll do anything until after this next thing's come on, the Sea Devil thing personally, but watch this space. Cliff on Comics is with us. Hello, Cliff. I would not call this a flop. They've even given me the Rani. Okay. Okay, tell me why you don't think it's a flop. You know?
Great bit of casting for the Rani. Just shame she didn't last very long.
And when it comes, it depends what you mean by flop. The fact is, nobody watched it. For a finale, it will come to that very, very soon. It didn't do very well. The whole series didn't do well. Gatwa has now gone. The series is in the dark. It wasn't commissioned for a series 3 immediately, like it should have been last year. Yeah, but thanks for your opinion. I'm glad you've enjoyed it, though. And Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. They could do a series in the style of Sapphire and Steel. Small sets, great acting, very atmospheric, no need for flash SFX. They could do. It'd be interesting to see how that would do in this day and age, to be quite honest. Because people do want... I don't know. I think
you need 10 seconds and you need flashy, like when people are babies, you need to have to keep their attention. So I don't know how that... It sounds amazing, but I don't know how people would take that.
Thank you for your super chat there, Mark. I think I know what he's getting at. You've got to have that mystery, that tension, which sometimes the original Who classed. But I still think it has to be Doctor Who. It has to be a recognisable Doctor Who of a guy in his TARDIS travelling through time and space with monsters. And good monsters, not namby-pamby wet things like Snot Monster. Proper monsters that are going to be iconic for British television and for Doctor Who itself. That are going to be up there for future generations to go, oh, do you remember the Angels? Oh, we'll bring them back. Or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
T People, nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. I didn't hate the finale. It could have been better, but I didn't hate it. Anyway, rumours on Twitter of Christmas special being announced at midnight or tomorrow. Well, if that's the case, stay with us here on Headlines, because if they do announce anything like that, we're going to be here. It's possible they might just do if they can afford it, if they've got the money from BBC Studios, it's possible they could just do an episode with Billy.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I've been asking around various people, sending messages to everybody. There was no casting call for a new Doctor. Anyway, make that what you will. And the BBC could give Doctor Who a rest and create a new show with a new protagonist, says Ian Corley. Ian, that's what I think they need to do. We're going to have to wait and see to see what they do. And I think you guys agree with that as well, don't you? They're going to have to rest it for a while.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let's get back to this other one, because some of the papers today reacted to Saturday's episode. The front of The Guardian, the paper we just looked at, The Guardian did this. Look at this. Is Billy Piper the new Doctor Who, or is it all over? But there it was on the front page. The article itself looks like this. It's quite a hefty page, actually, in The Guardian, everybody. It's quite a big article, as you can see. Got some nice shots there as well, I think.
Shooty looks like he's got displaced hips, doesn't he?
I'm going to very quickly read this out for you, everybody. We'll zoom in so you can see it. But basically, this says, nearly 2 decades after since she first appeared on Doctor Who, Billy Piper made a spectacular return to the show on Saturday night in the latest season finale, The Reality War. After just 2 series, Gatwa's Doctor regenerated into a grinning Piper who greeted viewers with, oh, hello, in the episode's final scene. The 42-year-old is best known to Doctor Who fans for playing the Doctor's companion Rose Tyler for 2 seasons. Her return came as a genuine shock to fans, many of whom were impressed that the BBC had managed to avoid leaks. But we all knew about it, didn't we, on this channel? But it had also left them with questions. Will Piper play the Doctor in the show's next series? And will there be a next series at all? In February, the BBC denied reports the show faced the axe, but said any decision wouldn't be made until the latest series had been broadcast. Its statement pointed out half of the 26 episodes agreed with Disney Plus still had not aired. 21 episodes have now aired, leading a 5-episode spin-off starring Russell Tovey, the trailer for which aired after Saturday's finale. TV critic and Doctor Who fan Scott Bryan, 35, said the reintroduction of Piper to the show came at a pivotal time for the show amid speculation about its future. I think it felt a bit like towards the end of the episode, a pitch to Disney to say, hi, please renew us, we've got Billy Piper. Of course, we've not had any confirmation about whether the Disney deal will be renewed, he said, but also when or if these episodes will be aired. Nothing has been confirmed regarding filming. It's a moment in TV that has raised more questions than answers, but that's how Doctor Who works. Well, concerns have been raised, the article goes on to say, about falling viewing figures, which have struggled to rally since RTD returned in 2023. 2 episodes during this series, which aired in May, got fewer than 3 million viewers, the lowest since the modern era began. Coordinator of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, Tony Jordan, and it puts Tony's age in there. Sorry, I'm so sorry for you, Tony, for them putting your age in there. That's terrible. Said he was concerned about the show's future. Obviously, he said, if it had been a stellar success, then they would have recommissioned it already, he said. Now, this is really good of Tony coming from the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, because with the best will in the world, they don't usually say things like this. Whether Piper, what is it? It's a concern that it's not going straight back into production, but to be fair, there have been times since it came back in 2005 where you've had the year-long break. But didn't RTD promise there wouldn't be any of that? Whether Piper will play her old character Rose, the Doctor, or another character is also unclear. The credits which show Gatwa and Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor did not do the same for Piper. Christopher Eccleston, who starred alongside her as the Doctor, told an event in the US in 2021 he backed the idea of his former assistant taking on the role. Eccleston said, "I was saying to somebody today in the green room that RTD is coming back, right? And who's going to be his Doctor? I think it should be Billy. Catherine Tate's great, but I think there's your Doctor." Don McLaughlin, 30, who was watching the finale at a cinema in Manchester when Piper appeared, said there was an audible gasp when she came on. Definitely. There was maybe about 2 or 3 cheers and someone behind me swore. I'm not surprised. Brian said, "Real surprise. I think Billie Piper is fantastic. She was one of the reasons why the 2005 series landed so well and led to 20 years of a hugely successful show and a reboot, but a surprise nonetheless." He added, "I'm intrigued by what they decide to do with her and the fact that there's mysteries around the fact that we don't know whether she's playing the Doctor. It's a bit open-ended." McLaughlin then said he felt deflated by Piper's appearance as it indicated a lack of new ideas behind the show. "Billie Piper's amazing and Rose was a wonderful character," he said, "but you want something new now. You want to be excited. I love Tennant in the 60th anniversary special, but bringing back characters loses its novelty if you just keep on bringing the old ones back all the time. It's lacking in original ideas." So that was the Guardian's take on that. As I say, guys, there were a lot of papers today as well. And but you also pointed out to me today that the Daily Telegraph did this with an unfortunate picture of Ncuti Gatwa. Not the best picture of Ncuti there, is it? Really, everybody.
It's a bit of an expression on his face, isn't it?
Seems like a nice one.
And the headline from the Telegraph, "Out of time, what went wrong with Doctor Who?" The article, again, fairly consistent, fairly big one by Liz Perkins. "Billie Piper, the Ncuti Gatwa's apparent replacement, once rejected the idea that Doctor Who should ever be played by a woman. The actress who Gatwa morphed into in the series finale on Saturday had previously called it a man's role. RTD, the Doctor Who showrunner, first pitched the idea of a woman taking on the lead role in 2005 when the sci-fi show was revived. But Piper was opposed to the move, telling Hello magazine in 2009, 'I don't think the Doctor should be a woman. Forgive me, I know it's not a feminist thing to say, but it's like saying, let's make James Bond a woman. It's a man's role.' She later appeared to have a change of heart, giving an interview to the BBC in 2017, in which she said she felt it was time to cast a woman. Piper told the broadcaster then, 'I think it would be great to have a female Doctor. Given the spirit of the world at the moment, I think it would be timely.' Now, bearing in mind that this was 2017 and what was going on, and bearing in mind that Piper, sadly, is one of these far-left ideological liberals, just like Tennant and all the rest of them, will carry on. The 42-year-old first appeared in the series as the companion to the Ninth Doctor, blah, 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 blah. On Saturday, she appeared in the show to replace Gatwa, who leaves Doctor Who after 2 seasons. Piper said, "It's no secret how much I loved the show, and I have always said I would love to return to the Whoniverse as I have some of my best memories there. So to be given the opportunity to step back on that TARDIS one more time was just something I couldn't refuse. But who, how, why, and when, you'll have to wait and see." Shortly after the finale aired, the actress shared a post on Instagram holding a rose with the caption that read, "A rose is a rose is a rose, cryptic, cryptic, cryptic." Since Piper left the Whoniverse, she starred in the ITV series. I'm going to get rid of all that. She's done quite a lot of work. Gatwa's time on the show came to an end of Saturday following the speculation he had been axed after he pulled out of the hosting of Eurovision. His finale also saw Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, make a guest appearance. The credit at the end of the programme said Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and introducing Billie Piper. So the media just as confused as the rest of us. Yeah. We've also got the eye paper, everybody. This was on the front. The left-hand side was on the front of the eye paper, and there, quite a significant page-size article. Basically, it goes through the same thing, really. By Adam Sherwin, Doctor Who's surprise regeneration to a former companion is not all that it seems, fans have suggested, as uncertainty surrounded the BBC show's future. Saturday night's season finale concluded with Ncuti Gatwa's departure as the 15th Doctor, recorded to just 2.2 million viewers, according to the BARB audience measuring figures, the lowest for a conclusion of the series since its launch in 1963. An £80 million co-production deal with Disney is under threat as viewing figures slumped by 2 million compared with what the audience who watched Gatwa's predecessor Jodie Whittaker when she was in the role. Gatwa's regeneration into Billie Piper, a hit with viewers when she first appeared in the show in 2005, was seen as a plea to the streaming giant to stick with the series. Scott Bryan, BBC broadcaster and TV critic, wrote on social media, "The last minute of the Doctor Who finale felt like a pitch to Disney Plus for a third season more than anything else." Fans shared suggestions that Piper would not be returning as the 16th Doctor after all. Screenshots showed that while Gatwa was credited as the Doctor on his first appearance, Billie Piper, it just said introducing Billie Piper when the credits rolled. After the episode aired, Piper shared photos on Instagram with the caption, "A rose is a rose is a rose." Reddit threads buzzed with speculation that Piper's appearance was actually Rose returning from another world as the Bad Wolf Doctor, a nod to an earlier storyline. Others said the popular Piper's appearance was a practical solution to a real-world headache following the exit of Gatwa after just 18 months on screen. Piper's not the new Doctor, says fans. She's a placeholder to they decide who to cast as 16, something they didn't expect to have done just yet, one fan wrote on X. Others suggested bringing back Piper, who made her last appearance. It's so boring, this, isn't it? I mean, we know all this stuff. Others suggested bringing back Piper, who made her last appearance in 2010 with stunt casting and desperate, an act of a nostalgia bait at the conclusion of a series which has shed 1 million viewers several million compared to the 2024 run, amid criticism of its latest storylines. RTD declined to confirm Piper's role. It's an honour and a hoot to welcome her back to the TARDIS, but quite how and why and who, the story's yet to be told. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the rest of it's there.
He probably
there.
doesn't even know who she is. And someone made a really classy thing up today. That's how it should have been. And I think it was yourself that mentioned it last night. You don't know if you're going to have a reshoot, just him burst into his energy, fade to black. The Doctor will return. Leave it to imagination. He probably doesn't know who, why, how. He's just doing it for stunt casting, just for giggles, because if no one can have it, he's just going to leave it in a mess. And I don't even know what he's on about. It's just wild. And he's going to say this and try and think that he's keeping us on a hook and tantalizing us for more info. Actually, he's just in La La Land.
He's just doing it. It's like I don't know where Ian's going. Hopefully, he'll connect and get back on with us. But it's just complete stunt casting, and he's not thinking. And this is supposed to be a Doctor Who fan. This is supposed to be a Doctor Who fan. He's supposed to take the show seriously. And as Paul always alludes to, we're now back to Paul Daniels levels in this show. We really are. This has become absolute camp nonsense. They're not treating it as the big, serious drama that they should do anymore.
It's a strange logic because by all metrics you think, or RTD specifically is thinking, oh, well, if I get Billie to come in, then people are going to want to see that. Whereas actually, if it had been someone we'd never seen before, never heard of, then we'd probably be more likely to think, oh, I wonder who that is. I wonder what that's going to be like. It's kind of had the opposite effect, really, because no one really seems to be interested in seeing Billie Piper do this.
No.
Because everyone's just annoyed that it's just going back to, but we've seen her. We've seen her do other stuff. Yeah. We've seen her come back multiple times. Like we want it's just returning to the old favourites, isn't it? The same with, using Murray Gold again and using.
It's the
you
same
know,
as he did with Tennant and Tate.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously a ratings grab for
A
the
little
60
while.
specials. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that didn't pay off.
Didn't pay off at all. And this won't either. Really won't.
No.
Matt532 is saying to us, I heard there are still 4 episodes in the Disney budget contract. No, that's not right. There are still 5 episodes left to screen. The budget from Disney, the agreement with Disney is done. It was for so many episodes, Matt. They've all been filmed. We've had the Doctor Who side. We've got 5 episodes of this spin-off coming with Unit. That's it. That's all they've paid for. And then it's all up in the air. That's what they're waiting for. So, no. Somebody's got that mixed up with you there. There are 5 episodes left to screen, and it's the Unit thing on the way. Ginger Guy saying to us, I can't believe Moffat had to read the finale script just because there was a connection to the finale of Joy to the World, but it ended up just being Joy in the Sky. There were 2 connections, wasn't there? The Time Hotel and that bloody star came back in. Joy herself, she turned around. So yeah, I mean, that's what was said. There are lots more in the papers today. We're going to come to them through time. I think, because we've got this coming up now, because Bedweer is with us and he's got a really big report for us. So let's get into it now. It's time for Bedweer's ratings breakdown. Okay, then, so here we go. Thank you again for all your work you've done on this one. So this is the update, isn't it now? I'm going to start with your first slide, which is this one, Bedweer.
Yeah, so this we can now say is the entire Ncuti Gatwa era. I'm not including the giggle because that doesn't really count.
No.
So we go from the Church of the on Ruby Road, quite good figures to start with, and then it heads downwards. Series 14 doesn't really get back any momentum. We get another peak for Joy to the World, and then things drop a little bit further for this current series. Spiking a rating for Interstellar Song Contest, and now we're back to below where we were last year, basically.
Isn't it amazing that we can already say there's the complete Ncuti Gatwa era, everybody, right there in those squiggly lines?
Yeah, we still don't have plus 28-day ratings for the episodes so far for this year, but you can see the general shift between 14 and 15 is slightly downwards. If you look at that, Green, which is our plus 7-day rating line, it is slightly lower, more around the 3 million mark than series 14 episodes were. And again, the blue line, which is our overnight rating, is slightly more under the 2 million than it was in series 14.
Wow. It's amazing that we're still we can say that at the moment. This is the complete Gatwa
That's all his
era.
episodes. Yeah, that's all of them.
And he wasn't in 2.
On one slide.
It wasn't in 2 of them. In an ideal world, says Real Steve, maybe Disney will decide to continue funding, but with a condition, dump RTD. Thank you for your super chat. Elvis77, who say no more Doctor Who annuals, we can hope. Well, there is one this year, because we've seen the cover of it. We've covered it here. There is one this year. When there's no show, it's very difficult for them to write an annual, of course. And as we know from those of us that were in the original Wilderness years, it did dry up after a little while, didn't it? We didn't have them for a year. We had the Marvel come back with the yearbooks for a little while, which were okay because they were based around the magazine. But we didn't have annuals until it came back with Eccleston, of course. So we never know, Elvis. We never know. Calvin McMulkin. Hiya, Kev. Some would say Bedweer's ratings show has higher ratings than some episodes of Doctor Who. But they'd be right, wouldn't they? They would be right. All right, so we've got that one. So we've started with that one. That's the entire Ncuti Gatwa era that Bedweer has put together for us there. Look at that. Yep. There it all is. You blinked and you missed it, everybody. What's this one then?
So this is now where we break down the series 14 and 15 episodes, specifically taking out those spikes for the 2 Christmas specials. And obviously this week our 2 newest numbers are the 2.17 million overnight for the Reality War and the announced today 2.856 million viewers that tuned in over 7 days for Wishworld. So those are the two main numbers we're going to be focused on in this episode.
Wow. Goodness me. This is Doctor Who, everybody. You know, this is what I mean. I mean, how spectacularly can you get it wrong over the last several years? Since Whittaker's first one, the introduction of Gatwood did not help at all.
No,
I suppose that's eye casting for you, though, isn't it?
And before people start saying, "Oh well, you know, nobody watches television anymore," go back and watch our headline show from Wednesday of last week, where we gave examples of how a new drama on ITV was doing big numbers, was getting more people watching on catch up. Yeah, some programs can do it. It's just that Doctor Who is not.
Because it's not popular at the moment. It's lost the magic. It's 20 years old. It's an old show.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. But you know what? It was so different to the original. Do you remember when it was 20 years old in our day, in 1983? The height of its popularity with Peter Davison and then the Five Doctors, and then going on to a new Doctor coming in, and then the problems sort of started. And that was down to the BBC as well, not the public. But this time around, it's been down to the public and the fans because we don't appreciate the crap that they've been giving us.
How dare
I know.
Yeah.
Don't forget that Blooming Things on this weekend as well, everybody. We'll probably mention it again this week. This 20-year, what's it called, Unleashed thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that.
That'll be thrilling, won't it?
selective contributors.
Yeah. It's interesting that Eccleston and Capaldi aren't on it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so let's contextualize where that overnight rating puts it. So the Reality War finishes outside the top 10 of the lowest overnight ratings that Doctor Who's ever got. So the Reality War was in 11th. But you can see how, God, I think it's something like 15 of the bottom 16 are all Ncuti Gatwa episodes. So the only, is Legend of the Sea Devils and the Ncuti Gatwa era.
Okay.
Sorry, it just is. I really.
It's marvelous, isn't it?
So these are the lowest audiences.
Battlefield's not in there. It's wonderful.
Woohoo!
Look at this. John Steed is saying to us here as well, guys, as we're looking through this. If this chart was at the end of a hospital bed, it would be off to the cemetery. Yeah, with matron saying, "You push harder, yours." You know, oh no, it'd be terrible. Oh gosh, that's God. What can you say? This is real. This is real stuff, isn't it? This is real facts. As you've said before on the show, Bedwell, you can't argue with the maths. They need to inject some young blood, says Tenacious. The 2005 New Era Rogues Gallery has been sucked dry. Pardon? Because you mentioned Rogue there. Sorry about that. Oh God. Don't get me started on that one, Tenacious. Don't get me started on Rogue. You've got me started on Rogue. What a pile of rubbish that was, wasn't it? As a gay man myself, I hated that storyline. I hated it. And they had to shoehorn him in again several times in this season, didn't they? Just to placate the nonsense for all these screaming idiots going, oh, bugger off, please. I can't be done with it. I can't stand it. Oh, and Smiling, thank you for your super chat. Ugh, fine. I'll buy the Doctor Who rights. You're welcome. Yeah, they're probably worth about that 10 now, aren't they? Yeah. I was reading somewhere as well, actually, for those of you like us who collect things, that again, once again, it did it before. It did it around about 2018, 2019, but the value for some Doctor Who merchandise has gone down again, which is awful because it's just so unpopular. And these people who know these things and write these books are saying, it's not, some stuff isn't worth what it was now because there's no interest in it. Oh my God. And look around me thinking, well, there goes my sister's happiness in the future. Kevin McMulkin, she gets all this. The Traitors on the BBC have actually gained viewers from series 1 to 3 over 9 million average this year, apparently. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you
That's
for
how you
that
grow
one.
an audience.
And Hartnell's Ghost is saying, thanks, Bedweer, for your ratings. To think McCoy got cancelled in 89 for only pulling in 5 million opposite Coronation Street and with next to zero BBC promotion. Exactly. Yeah. How things have changed, eh?
We'll demonstrate it later.
Oh,
I promise.
Yeah. JFO, here he is. He's back in the chat. Thank you for that news about Andy Pryor. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Wouldn't be surprised if when Tennant and Piper are together on the anniversary Unleashed special on Saturday, it's announced Tennant is coming back with Piper. Can you
God.
imagine?
What? Flip a table. I'll film it. Watch me flip a table.
Flip a table. Tables don't do that. So I was paying attention to some of the crap. Oh no! See what I did there? But oh, I couldn't stand it again. You might have to all watch it without me. I couldn't stand him again. But again, here in the UK, he's not popular anymore, is he? He's just not popular.
No, he's a bit of a toxic brand now, isn't he, old Tennant?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Six Boy is with us as well. I've emailed you. Oh, fabulous. Thank you very much. I will get around to it eventually. I will eventually. I'll get around to it. I'll look for you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Oh, and Ron Sapp is saying, Doctor, I let you go. Capaldi line, eh? Oh, as did millions. As Bedouin is proving now. If you just joined us, we've got Bedouin here telling us about the updates that were announced today in the old ratings, the stuff that we're not supposed to talk about, but we will because we quite like it. Yeah, okay, so let's get into the next one. Good to see you all. Right, we're on this one now.
So this is our season/series averages. So this is just an update to a graph we've used a couple of times recently. Modern day series since 2005 are, on the left hand side, and then everything from 63 through to where we are in 2025 is charted on that large line graph. And you can see that the overnight rating did push up the series average to 1.9 million on overnights for our overnight average, but it's still behind where it was last year, and you can see that even back in series 26, it's just over 4 million, and we're now below half of that.
Look at that.
When it was first cancelled,
Look at that.
Yeah.
To build on that point earlier.
Yeah. It could be argued that Doctor Who is suffering like the soaps do, ironically. And we were talking about all these changes on the ITV network with the crap that they churn out because it's easy. It's easy, lazy television, the stuff that they put out. You've got, hello, my name's Lorraine Kelly, and that's great. You've got her who's been there for about 400 years, haven't you? Axed. You've got a load of catty old cows sitting around a table with a cup of tea moaning about everything, haven't you? On Loose Women, please get a grip. They can't even tell what bloody women are. Hypocritical. Anyway, enough of that one. And you've got loads of repeats and all this sort of stuff. Not that I know because I work, obviously, but apparently it's all lazy and it's cheap telly. It's standing sets, cheap telly. That's all you have to do. You might have to pay the occasional guest to come into, hello, I'm Lorraine Kelly. You have to into her show, but she's been there since TV-AM, for crying out loud, isn't it? She made a fortune. Get off. Anyway, I'm going off on one. But on top of that, you've got a lot of the more familiar, more mature actors in the soaps being pushed off, and I'm going to include Casualty in that because my mum has been watching Casualty for 4,000 years, a bit like we've been doing Doctor Who. Loves it, and she's been telling me over the last few years, oh, they got rid of Charlie, oh, they got rid of this, and they got rid of this, and I'm saying because they cost too much because they're a certain age, so they bring in all these young ones who can't argue, who don't have the gravitas to argue, and then everything goes to pot because it's not the same production anymore, So it could be argued that Doctor Who's in the same sort of stuff like that. It's in that rut but then he says, contradicting himself, it's just had millions ploughed into it from Disney.
Not that it showed.
No, it didn't.
Not that it showed at all. No. It's just fatigue. It has to be. It has to be all the agendas they've pushed into it, alienating millions of fans, 2 spectacular miscasts, crappy scripts. It must be that.
I've made this point a few times on this show that even the biggest shows in the world don't do 20 years. Game of Thrones is massive. The biggest comedies, Friends, Frasier, Cheers, Big Bang Theory, for a more recent example, they only have a finite lifespan. And yes, Doctor Who can regenerate its production crew and its cast and all that sort of stuff, and that's what's made it last so long. But even after 20 years, when you've got RTD back writing it, and you've got, you know, David Tennant showing up, Billy Piper showing up, you know, the unit crew, like this, the constant, you know, nods back to stuff that's been and gone. It's just that fatigue, and it's the same that Marvel are having issues with. Star Wars have had issues with it now, with just overall brand fatigue. People are just kind of done with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the industry itself isn't helping itself because it keeps churning out rubbish and then wondering why people aren't watching it. And yet the good stuff brings people in. There's too many cop shows on television as well. If I see another police show on a Monday night, except Bergerac, I love it.
David Tennant as well.
Starring David Tennant with some sort of hairdo, you know. And no, there's definitely some. They're not connecting with the public anymore, are they? Because it's everything is just out of kilt somehow because they're all going off on rants and raves. You're not thinking?
I do. I think, you know, what you were saying, Bedweer, it gets 20 years, which not really any of the programs do. But, you know, remembering, I know it was a different era, but Doctor Who's done 20 years before because it did 26. And when it had got to the 20-year point before, it was still going strong. And if it's done right and you play to your strengths, then it does stay fresh and it doesn't get stale. But they've, like you say, they've not done that. It's the same old faces that were around in 2005, 6 and 7 that are turning up in 23, 24, 25. You take a look at the cast list now and you compare it back then, there's not much difference. There's a lot of the same names there.
Yeah.
And you aren't giving that variety. You aren't playing to Doctor Who's strengths. And you said, JT, it's happening to all the soaps, and it is. But Doctor Who's a soap now. Russell T Davies made it a soap, so it's just the same.
Yeah,
and with a much bigger budget.
Yeah, absolutely. So it should have been able to do some things better. It should have been able to do everything better, but it ended up doing nothing better at all. And it's an absolute tragedy, really. You know, what would have given to see something like, I mean, you know, Talons of Wing Chiang is perfect anyway, including the car that they had to cover in manure for that long shot down the street. Who cares? It looked great. But can you imagine stories like that done with a budget like this?
Yes, I can, because they'd be feature film quality, wouldn't they?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
completely. And the revenue you would get from selling the merchandise from that, the BBC would enter an entirely new era, one that they could only dream of. But no, they gave it to this bumbling, arrogant, self-obsessed twat who wastes it all. And it's just, that's what I think.
Yeah. I'd like to see the bill for the taxis. Anyway, that's what.
Oh my God.
From London to Cardiff, etc., from LA to London, possibly even as well. Right. Anyway, where are we up to? We're up to this one, Bedweer. What's this one?
So again, what we do on this channel is provide context around the raw number. So the overnight share percentage. So all the television sets in the UK that were turned on at the time Doctor Who was on, 18.8% tuned in to the Reality War, which is up slightly from Wishworld. So, you know, that's positive. But now we've got the whole series, we can conclude that the average overnight share for Series 15 was 16.6%, and that is down from the 21.2% it was at last year.
Huge drop as well.
20%.
Yeah, when you're losing nearly 5% on losing a quarter of that figure. It's not great, and some of that's bumped up by the Interstellar Song Contest. Let's not kid ourselves. So in another metric, it's gone down. So we've got our overnight average, that's down on last year. We've got our overnight share percentage, that is down on last year as well.
My God, look at this, everybody. I mean, we knew, didn't we? We knew as we were getting through last season Because I remember saying when we were watching it last year, this isn't going to go up. It's not going to go. It's going to take a miracle to go up, because it was all filmed together. It was all produced together, and we know that was for budgetary reasons. But this to get even lower, that's just embarrassing as a Doctor Who fan. Let's go straight onto this one.
So this just proves that our series finale was the lowest overnight for a series finale. I mean, God, look at that. Journey's End, 9.4 million people watched it on the night. Look how far it's dropped since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can see how the purple line only comes in for Peter Capaldi's second season. So we've only got overnight and 7 days for quite a few series, but yeah, it was quite a long way down. And the Reality War got less viewers than in Empire Death did last year. It's lower than Jodie Whittaker's. It's lower than the Dr. Falls and Peter Capaldi's season. So what's interesting though, if you look at Doomsday to Last of the Time Lords, if you look at The Big Bang to The Wedding of River Song, so the David Tennant and Matt Smith eras actually grew from their first series to their second series in terms of series finale overnights. But unfortunately, Capaldi, Whittaker, and now Gatwa have dropped from their first series to their second series. Which I thought was an interesting point.
It is interesting. I'm just trying to think, again, I'm coming back to the fatigue, lack of interest. People have moved on. Certainly, it proves to me how many Doctor Who fans have left the show, because we were so important. We watched every week. We were a huge part of the ratings, and we were told to bugger off, and millions of us did. And there's the proof, because the public came in on the back of us. And this shows, and I hope you know what I'm getting at here, but it shows the importance of us as fans. You do not treat your fandoms badly because they are important, because millions of the fans have gone and the ratings go down, and there's no new imaginary wishful audience there to take over. It's not happened. And that's what they were looking for back with Chibnall and RTD2. They were looking for this mythical new audience. I'm going to say mythical again, if they're watching.
So Tennant and Smith grew their audience, because they found an interested that general audience. Capaldi's era unfortunately was saddled with some poor material. Whittaker's started promisingly, but people turned off when they realized actually no, it's not that good. The curiosity's gone, and then Gat was just driven that audience away even further. So it does demonstrate that some Doctors have connected with a wider audience than just the core fan base. But now even that is being whittled away, as we can see by that lowest point on that graph now for the Reality War.
This one's interesting as well. This is the bar chart thing you send us. This is good.
Yeah, so this is our cumulative. So we've got our purple overnight rating blocks, and then we've got the additional figures added on in green to get us to our +7s. So, we can see that the Reality War was the second highest overnight rating for Series 15. So, congrats for that. But it's a small bit of celebration, really.
It's not going to get 4 million, even with the other bits added, is it? The whatever we call them now. I forgot the word. What's the word?
For the consolidated.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It's not going to get it. I mean, it's not going to go much higher. When you look at what's happened here, very clearly, it's adding another, not even 2 million. So this is going to get around about just over 3.
Well, I think if correct me if I'm wrong, but if you move on to the next slide, we can really demonstrate this. So here we are. So this is the increases from overnight to +7s, and I've put this up a few times because you can see that the growth from overnight to +7s has been steadily dropping throughout the series. I mean, okay, Joy to the World may be a bit of an anomaly, but even from the Robot Revolution, Lux, The Well, consistent drop in that overnight catch up, or the pre-transmission numbers, that's all included in this. So that additional audience being added to the overnight figure has consistently dropped. It went up for the Interstellar Song Contest. Maybe the Return of the Rani did that a little bit. But you can now see that 1.03, so just over 1 million people added on top of the overnight figure for Wish World. Yeah, that's a steady decline. And this is additional to our overnights. I would imagine the Reality War will probably go up a little bit, given all the conversation that's come around. So it'll probably be maybe 1.5 million that gets added on top. So we might be looking at about 3.5, but I don't see a top in 4 million. Definitely not.
There's another factor in here. Personally, I've always said it. Prove to me it's going to be the great British public that go and watch it, because I don't think anybody cares that Billie Piper was in this again. I don't see it happening. We'll soon know when they come in. But the other fact is there were 4 or 5 fans in the cinema watching the thing, so they've gone home again and watched it again as soon as they've got home, haven't they, to relive it? And how many fans, alleged fans, are watching these things over and over and over to try and understand the bloody plot? Because that thing, well, yeah, exactly what plot, but that thing that I watched on Saturday, you have, to understand it or try to understand it. This could be an absolutely brainwave of his, very clever thing of RTDs. You've got to watch it about 10 times to understand what's going on. Smiling, thank you for your super chat. I'm between wanting it to just die, but also wanting someone to save it, because Doctor Who was such a huge part of my life. Yeah, I mean, having lived through the original time it came off air, this thing is never going to die. They'll have a good go at it. But it's such a good idea and it's such a good concept that I think there will always be a form of it around. If it's going to be like the version we've had now, then I don't know if I want to be part of it either, because it was just bloody awful. But if something
about that as well, that this will be my first wilderness, but if I didn't have people like you guys in the chat and all of you guys as well, that I would have bounced out of it. We might not have what we want as a Doctor Who, but we've still got, I hate the word, but community that we can just go watch the classic shows and we can pick up the DVDs again and we can read the books and we've still got it. It might not just be, it's the dead cousin in the corner sort of thing that it needs to go to hospice. But we've still got the things that we know and we love. And yeah. You're not alone. It's okay. We're all going to hunker down together and we've still got the stuff that we love that we can just endlessly enjoy forever and ever.
I'm still hoping, well said, Kirst, but I'm still hoping somebody at BBC Studios, which is the BBC's commercial arm, they are there to make profit, has woken up or is beginning to wake up and is going back to people like RTD saying, why aren't you making us any money like you said you would? We made more years ago. What's going on? So Clive Calculator is saying, trashing the fans. I know for a fact that at Wolf Studios, Rotherlock and even Upperboat, the fans were discussed with utter contempt. This disturbing attitude has always been there. I believe that completely. It's just that I've had a few, I've been in a few areas with certain people, and there have been things where I've just gone, oh, please don't say things like that.
For context, when you're trying to film stuff out on location and there are a core group of people who are constantly following you and trying to, demanding your actors come and sign another piece of merchandise for them after, 6 consecutive days of doing so. I know there have been those sorts of conversations, but many people were fans of the show that worked on it, but the ones probably being referred to in that context were the ones that made it actually more difficult to make the show. That's generally who they had a problem with.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Glenn Piper saying to us, looking forward to seeing happy reviews from you all with the classic series. Yeah, it's going to be great to get back to it, isn't it, Glenn? Hope you're all going to come with us as well. We have Pertwee's Sea Devils on the way and McCoy's Battlefield for Gene on the way as well. So stay with us here on the channel. Plus, we've got loads of other stuff. We're going to be soon starting to review in order, episode by episode, the Sarah Jane adventures. That's on the way for you. And if you are a Blake 7 fan, don't forget we are reviewing Blake 7. That'll be back a week tonight. Okay, on Monday next week. Right, back to the ratings analysis that you put together, and it's the pie chart.
Yep. So we've got our latest pie chart for Wishworld. So for those who haven't seen this, so our plus 7 day rating is a combination of our overnight and our growth to plus 7. And for Wishworld, we can see that 64% of the plus 7 rating comes from the overnight figure. So once again, for all of those who say the overnights don't matter, here it is in a nice, delicious pie chart that the majority of the audience over 7 days still comes from the overnight figure for all of the episodes this series. And actually is, growing. We were at 68% last week for the Interstellar Song Contest. This week for Wishworld is now 64%. So, it's pretty significant, the overnight ratings.
It really is. Yeah. But these clowns in Doctor Who fandom that say it isn't, it's because they've been listening to the clowns in showbiz who say that as well. But they've got to change their tune. Some sad news coming through from many of you in the chat. And thank you for letting us know that it's been announced while we've been on air this evening, the 2nd of June 2025, that unfortunately we've now lost Prentice Hancock, who has passed away, aged 83. Another wonderful, wonderful sci-fi man, star, of course, of many, many things, including Space 1999. And one of my favorite Doctor Who's, Tom's, of course, with Planet of Evil. Which I think we might have to have a look at for him. So stay with us here on the channel. But yeah, we'll have a wee bit of a tribute to him, I think, on a future edition of the show, or we'll do a review or something. But thank you for letting us all know, everybody in the chat, the sad news that we've lost Prentice Hancock. Goodness me.
I didn't realise until recently that he's in a scene in the Cottage Hospital in Spearhead from Space.
Yes, as a younger Prentice Hancock. Yeah. But what a role he plays. He actually frightened me in that episode with Tom, with on Planet. It was just because he was just so
good.
Yeah. And as a little lad, he was scary. He was very authoritative, wasn't he? And he'd clip you around the ear.
Fairly uncompromising, wasn't he?
Yes, and shouted at the Doctor and Sarah a lot. Oh, God bless him. Another one that we're losing there. Yeah, so thank you for that, everybody. Stay with us on the channel. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please subscribe and stay with us. Ring that bell. And if you have subscribed to the channel, thank you. Please make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. We're going here now.
So this puts, again, more context for our plus 7 rating. And so Wishworld at 2.856 million is the third lowest plus 7 rating since 2005. And again, we can sort of contextualize the bottom 5 episodes for plus 7 ratings are all from this series. And then we've got the Robot Revolution and the Interstellar Song Contest, which both did worse than The Devil's Called and Space Babies back last year.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how they can say that that song contest thing was the best one ever?
Yeah.
There we are. Look at
that. Third lowest plus 7 rating since 2005, and that's your penultimate episode of a series. Yeah. And again, what you got the bottom. 15 there. 14 of those are Shooty Gatwa era. And you've got a Legend of the Sea Devils in there as well.
So everybody in the industry who is kissing RTD's ass thinking he's the best thing ever. No, he's not.
It's not connecting with an audience. There's no audience. Sorry.
He's literally lost the plot. In all the ways you can explain that sentence, he's lost the plot. He can't do it, and he certainly can't write Doctor Who anymore. Somebody please just give him a soap opera on Channel 4. That's what he does best. Let him get on with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't many
moving
people
on.
will watch that either, though, will they?
At least he'd be happy.
Yeah.
You know, at least he'd be happy to waltzes off. Let's go into this one now, Bedouin.
Yeah, so we were celebrating last week how Doctor Who had hit its highest chart position over, 7 days. So this is the 7-day chart on 4Screen, which takes into account not just your television set, but mobile phones, tablets, laptops, those 4 screens that you can watch television programming on. And the Interstellar Song Contest was 9th, which was its best position for a non-Christmas special in the Ncuti Gatwa era. But this week you can see we're back down at number 30
Oh dear.
for Wishworld. So,
Good
yeah,
grief.
it's the average for this series is 25th.
25th.
Good God.
This is Doctor Who, everybody. This is what it should be. Way up there, shouldn't it? Everything about this reboot, from the casting of Tennant and Tate onwards, was wrong. From the moment they engaged RTD, it was doomed.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of the second most watched drama. It's now behind what's it called? Code of Silence on ITV, which has been, quite a positive hit.
But that got people talking about it as well. I know people that have talked about it, and the other people listen to, I'll go and watch that. I don't hear that about Doctor Who anymore.
Yeah, it's behind most of the soaps now. It's new series Death Valley on BBC One. It was behind that. It's behind episodes of Clarkson's Farm, and that's on a Prime Amazon Prime streaming network. So, that's not available to everyone.
And it's really good as well.
I was going to say, some people get a Clarkson for whatever reason. I don't know, because I don't really watch his stuff, but I've got nothing against the fella. I just don't watch television because I think it's all rubbish. He has a fan base just like Doctor Who do, and they're going to go and watch his stuff. Yeah.
But actually, what he's doing right now with the state of the government is just it's wicked. What you listen to his interviews about the farmer and the inheritance tax.
Yeah.
With the latest episodes as well about how lonely farming can be, and he's trying to bring that. So I'm kudos to him. Like, I'm totally.
I agree with you, Kurt. I absolutely agree with you. I think he's probably done more in a few short series for British farming than anybody else has in probably the last 50 years. And I think it was the first series where he at the end of the series they totted up how much money they'd made with everything that they'd sold and everything else, throughout the year, all the grain that they'd got in, all the produce and everything else. It made about 30 quid. That was it. That was running a farm. That's without drawing salaries and everything else. And that brings it home to sort of like absolute reality that farmers aren't necessarily all rich people doing. I know he's got an income from other things, so he can afford to do it, but he can also afford to bring it to the public view because of his profile. Otherwise, people just wouldn't know. You would think, oh yeah, at the end of a year, a farmer probably makes tens of thousands on all this produce. 30 quid or thereabouts. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of you actually are obviously supporting or watching Clarkson's shows. Frankie is with us saying Clarkson knows what his viewers want. He just asked his partner Lisa. Okay. John Mason saying, I like what he says in recent times, but I still don't like Clarkson. That's fine, isn't it? It's whatever. You can't like everybody. Clarkson is informing, educating, and entertaining. Meanwhile, Countryfile isn't. says the Clive Calculator. I've heard Countryfile is ist, apparently. It's ist, isn't it? And it's gone down the DEI route now to show how hip and trendy it is, because it's the BBC, isn't it? Cool's Boy's Backyard said more people watch Most Haunted. Is Yvette still on that screaming everywhere? Is she? Good grief. Oh, gosh, yeah. And Noodle Arm saying to us, you could even get a Dalek bottle opener. Yeah, I've got one over here somewhere. Back in the day, you'd need it now to help forget this era.
Very good.
Very good. Right, so we've got that one. Okay then, Bedouin. So I've got this one for you first, and I think there's a little bit you've added to it as well. So I've tried to imagine what we've got. This one first, is that right? Or is it this one?
I think so. Oh, did I send it? Oh, well, I mean, they're both the same one by the looks of it.
There's a green and a purple line added by magic. There. Do you want to go with that one?
Oh yeah, it's that one. Yeah, so it's the set. Yeah, so it's second one because we've now got our 2.86 million 7 day for Wishworld. So again, this is just contextualizing how far we've fallen from the heights of series 4. Even look at Capaldi's first series over 7 days. 7.34 million watched Dark Water. That's pretty. God, we'd cut our arm off at 7.34 million now, wouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's quite healthy, I would say, considering that this is when they would say, all these people that critique this, television was changing. Nobody was watching television like they used to at that point as well.
And you can see how those lines sort of separate. The gap between blue, which is our overnight, and our +7 in green really widens during that sort of middle period. You can see, for Bad Wolf, it's quite narrow. There's not a lot of catch up, but the availability of the iPlayer, should we say, it really widens that gap once you're looking at, the Matt Smith into the Capaldi era. But see how it's narrowed again, and that, that additional viewership is not following Doctor Who. It's narrowed back down again. We highlighted that the growth to Wishworld was only, just over 1 million, 1.03 million up from the overnight, which is, brought it right back down and was the lowest uplift from overnight this series. So yeah, I think it's again, this is what we do on this channel is, we try and add context to the raw numbers, and you can see from these line graphs little features like that which make it all the more apparent that the audience just isn't there.
Exactly. Stephen O'Neill is saying Rory Kinnear or Ralph Fiennes is the next Doctor. Rory Kinnear, interesting actor, cracking actor. A lot of you will know him from Bond. Would he make a good Doctor? I'm going to have to think about that, Stephen, because I've never associated him with it. Ralph Fiennes, however, oh yes, I've
happy with both. Try with me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Ralph Fiennes again, another cracking actor, very talented, good, really good character actor. I've seen him in certain things, thinking, "Ooh, yeah, I'd like to see him in the long coat," But the only thing I'm worried about, Stephen, now, as I've said to the panel a couple of times, is I do believe that a lot of actors may look at this role now as the kiss of death. And now they're listening, they could be listening or reading the papers today. On Mondays is traditionally a day when an actor will go to their agent and say, have you got any work for me? And then they'll get a paper, usually The Guardian. And on the front page of The Guardian was that headline, Billie Piper, the new Doctor Who, or is she? That could push a lot of actors off, guys. Do you not think?
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
Not going to help, is it? Really, especially if as there hasn't been a casting call out for the Doctor. So,
even up-and-coming actors not going to want to have a look at that because it's not going to help profile their career.
And it's not even going to help. It's not going to help them launch in America now either, which is what it did. Smith, fantastic. Capaldi was already there. Eccleston was already there. It helped Tennant as well. It helped Billy. It helped Freema. And look at the success of Karen. Karen Gillan's gone whoosh, hasn't she? Good for her. What a career she's had. Brilliant because of Doctor Who. doesn't happen now. It's not that stepping stone that a lot of the actors, the agents, still seem to think it is. Oh, go and do a couple of years in Doctor Who. I'll introduce you to America. No, it's not going to, because it's not popular. Look at Gatwa, still struggling.
Yeah.
Well, still hoping.
I name RTD the destroyer of shows, says Andrew Parker. We're with you on that.
Yeah.
We're with you on that. Let's have a look. And
I think
so
with
that
Rory
takes us...
Kinnear, JT. Sorry, I think with Rory
Yeah, go
Kinnear,
ahead. Go on. Yeah.
one of the things about him is that you can. He's got quite a good range because he does comedy quite well as well. He was in those 3 series of Count Arthur Strong, which I really enjoyed. Yeah,
Oh.
he was definitely Count Arthur's stooge, really, but he had quite a lot of comedy moments in there, and he did it really, really well. And I thought he was really good in that. So he can do really good drama, but he can also do comedy, which as a doctor you need to be able to do.
Yes, you've got to have that element. You've got to have that talent, haven't you? You've got to know when to play it. He did that
I don't
wonderful
know
thing
enough about Hines, so I couldn't comment about him. He probably can too, but
Yeah, I would say Rory did. I'm not surprised he can do comedy, because look at who his father was.
oh,
But
God,
yeah, but Rory did that lovely, a really nice sort of homely British film called Bank of Dave.
Yay! That's
Oh,
such a
yeah.
good movie.
yeah.
It is, and it's a wholesome, good, feel-good thing based on a true story about a fella who took on the banks of England, because it's so bureaucratic here. To try and open a new bank, they won't let you, basically, because it's all for the fla brigade, isn't it? Fla, darling. And they won't let you. And this fella from Northern England said, oh, sod this, businessman, and did it. And took them on, and he won. Good for him. Was that Sheffield? Somewhere around that way, wasn't it? Wasn't it somewhere in Yorkshire way? Somewhere around
sounds
there.
like a very Yorkshire thing to do, because you don't want to give your money to somebody that's not in Yorkshire to look after, do you?
Yeah, well, no.
Keep it local. Keep it local.
Keep it under bed. But no, it's great film, that Rory. And he had a lovely, very calm character there that he portrayed there. Very controlled. It was a nice performance, I thought. Anyway, yeah, thanks for that one. That got us talking there. And we're going on to your graphic now. This is your final graphic, isn't it, for us here? This is this one.
I think so. Yeah, here we go. So this is ending on a high for us Battlefield fans, because we now have Wishworld in 3rd. So confirmation that Wishworld was watched over 7 days by fewer people than watched Battlefield Part 1 on transmission. And you can see, from the sort of top or lowest 20, when we compare modern +7 ratings with classic series overnight ratings, the War Games is just inside the top 10 at the moment for episode 8. As we were talking earlier about season 26, so Battlefield Part 3 is in 14th, Part 2 is in 19th. So, that was around the ballpark. And then that series grew its audience as it progressed through to end on survival. So you can see where the modern show fits within that context. And Wishworld, as I say, 3rd lowest +7 rating, and worse than anything the classic series offered.
Gosh.
If you factored in something there, Bedwyr, not that I'm asking you to, or not that you probably could, but if you factored in an equivalent for the time of people watching it on catch up, because that obviously didn't exist then.
No.
Then a lot of those classic episodes would probably move out of there, wouldn't they? I would have thought, because it will only take their score in one direction, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you could get statistics for how many video recorders were in the UK during 1989, the likelihood is a fair chunk of them would have been recording Doctor Who instead of Corrie, as they were on at the same time. So you could, try and extrapolate this. It'd be impossible to work out, but it would be interesting. And that graphic is largely just there because many people complain that, you can't compare the current the current way television works to the classic series. Well, I think this is a fair comparison where you have you know, a classic series overnights versus the opportunity to watch an episode via catch up and streaming service and digital record and play at some point over 7 days. I think that is a fair comparison, and that's the graphic we end up with. So we are seeing figures that are less than what Doctor Who was cancelled with in 1989.
History is repeating itself to a certain extent here, everybody. I'm sure we're all aware of that. There are lots of people denying it. We have to wait and see what the official word's going to be. Stay with us here on Who's Views, because, of course, as soon as that official word is put out there, we'll be here to talk about it. And I hope all of you will be as well. Let's have a good bitching session. Because it's very therapeutic in a way, isn't it, really? After what they've just put us through over 2 years, 2.5 years, if you include the 3 things from 2023, which I do, where the pain started with that children in need crap with Davros. Honest to God. But it's all the way. Listen, Bedwyr, once again, thank you so much for all your hard work in putting all that together. Only a couple more left, eh?
No, so I'll be back later this week when we have the box office takings for the cinema screenings of Wishworld and the Reality War for the poor people that spent money to watch that on a bigger screen.
That'll be the short segment of the show, yes.
So that's that's going to be interesting, comparing it to the Day of the Doctor, what they did last year, and Deep Breath when Capaldi debuted in cinemas. So that's going to be an interesting comparison. And then next week, when we get our +7 ratings for for the Reality War, rather, that's going to be interesting. And if and when we ever get 28 days, we might do a show then. But
yeah, we will. Yeah, we will if you want to.
It's not going to be much of an increase, but it'll be good.
And the audience appreciation still hasn't come along either, as Julie was saying in the chat. Nothing there from them. But we'll just report on anything they put out there, won't we, really? And we will also report on everything they don't put out there, because there's a story about that as well. Thanks again, Bedwyr, for that. Listen, everybody, I was saying earlier on that BBC Studios have today been putting out a lot of photographs based around the last Ncuti Gatwa episode. Can't believe, actually, to be honest, that we're now saying that the last Ncuti Gatwa episode was on Saturday, the Reality War. They were still doing it while we started broadcasting a couple of hours ago. They could be going on right now. I don't know. But there were some about 30, 40 minutes before we came on air that I had to share with you.
Oh.
Yay. Vomit.
I think I've been sick a little.
I'm going to get a strike ban from what I'll probably say. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Ooh, Kirsty's going all Emilio.
I'll probably get striked. So, yeah.
Look at that photo on the left where she's clearly pushing his buttons. Yeah. If you look at his eyes, he's not making eye contact with her there, is he? It doesn't look it.
No, there was another one we showed yesterday where he didn't seem very pleased either.
He's staring at her wig.
Yeah, you can see the join.
You're all appreciating this in the chat. I know you are. Andrew Parker saying the 2 awful doctors. Wrestling reviewer Daniel saying to us, the Doctor will never succeed under DEI, which is very, very true. But that wasn't the only one.
Oh,
okay.
That costume as well always looked at dressing an inadequate actor in a costume just designed to look quirky because it's more interesting than she is, and it's not interesting. That's the thing.
It's not. It's just bland.
Her costume always reminded me of when toddlers are allowed to dress themselves, or you see the kind of helicopter parents where they're like, "Blossom apple tree, don't eat any additives and wear whatever you want." That's how I imagine what she looked like.
Yeah. Look at me, I'm wearing silly short trousers. Aren't I quirky? Aren't I interested? No, you're bland as chuff.
It's very reminiscent as well of that original publicity shot of her in costume with the TARDIS in the back, and she's on a
exactly the same.
Yeah, I think that they've tried to be clever there by repeating that. But of course, some of the Jodie fans have noticed this, even though they haven't been supporting Ncuti Gatwa's time at all, and have wet themselves over the fact that she's on she's on the current TARDIS set. Isn't that ridiculous?
Well, they wore nappies anyway, didn't they? Really? So.
No.
They didn't really have bowel control to start with, did they?
I couldn't comment. I have to say, Bedwy, as I said to the guys on our review show last night, I having not seen any of Jodie Whittaker's era and not intending to watch any of it at all, when she appeared, I thought to myself, oh, I can now say I've seen a Whittaker episode of Doctor Who. And then
Yeah.
B, somewhat amazingly to some of the panel and to some of the, I said she outperformed Gatwa because she seemed to have something familiar about her, which I've not seen in Gatwa's performance at all. There was something about her presence, the way she grabbed hold of the scene and acted him.
Well, she is an actor,
Allegedly.
and I think the dialogue about him being, oh, you're gorgeous and all this, it is very much by feeding into that opinion that I may share, that he's just a model trying to act, and is being, and it feeds that, because you get an actor who comes along who's played a role, she did 3 seasons, she did it for a while. She is a poor character. 13 it's really badly written, and I feel sorry for her in that respect, because she should be given more to work with. But Gat was, just a window dressing really by comparison. And it's funny, I meant I said about the wig thing. Question generally for people in the chat as well: would Billie Piper's return have actually worked if she'd come back brunette rather than a blonde Rose?
Why would that be different?
Because she wouldn't look like Rose.
Nah.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't care what color hair she's had, because she's had all sorts of color hair over the last 4 years.
Yeah,
it's obviously deliberate. It's obviously deliberate that they said go blonde.
Yeah, because they made that decision to make her look like Rose again.
Yeah.
Whereas
Just for the
actually,
headline.
if they just wanted it to be Billie Piper doing something new, she could have been brunette or any hair color, I guess. But
Could have been bold. That'd have been different.
that'd have been different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a gimmick. All RTD wanted her to do was look and sound in that one line as near to Rose as possible, to do what we are all doing today and what the papers have been doing. And
You
yesterday.
could shave her head, Judy. Have half the head shaved.
Could have done. Chorus Sci-Fi and Fantasy, I hope you're feeling better, by the way. Thank you for your super chat here. I just want to say thanks. I didn't know you was live, so tuned in late to hear you talking about all the papers covering Doctor Who. I just drove around my area to get all the ones you mentioned. Was a mad dash, but did it. You've brought all the papers, have you? Wow. That would have cost you a bit, because the Telegraph and the Guardian now are over £3. That's why it went back on the shelf with me. I took photographs because I'm cheap. I put it back on. I won't spend money on rags like that. No, but I went back on it. I looked at it and went, how much? The last time I bought a newspaper, it was about 12p. And it might have covered Louise Jameson coming into Doctor Who. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But of course, Sci-Fi Fantasy. I can just see it now, dashing around all the shops to get the papers, because they take them off the shelves at 10 o'clock, don't they? 10:30, something like that, and send them back. Help them. But thank you so much for that, Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy, and thank you for the story. That's great. Really good of you. Well, listen, there is still a lot more that we're going to be talking about when it comes to this. Sliver Wolf is saying to us, the wig stole the scene. I didn't know it was a wig until last night's review show. They told me. I didn't either. I can't believe
it
that.
definitely acted better, didn't it?
Oh, look at that. Robert Payne saying Billy could have been Ginger.
That would have been good.
That would have been even more. You missed the trick there, Russell, didn't he? Yeah, she could have been still not Ginger. That's going to haunt this show until it is rebooted and they get rid of it somehow. But yeah, that would have been a real twist, Robert. Well, you're a genius. Yeah. And just Jordan saying to us, I don't think it'll have made any difference, really. Wasn't interested in it. At least it didn't grab me. It hasn't grabbed a lot of people, though. Next week, when we talk about the +7s, or whatever they call them now, that's going to be interesting. And bold representation, says Andrew Parker. Here, let's have more of that, I say. Let's have our own flag I think. You're...
You
Pete
could have a
Harrington.
bold, you could have a bold celebration month as well.
Yes,
And
I'm
Yeah.
working
everybody
on
has
that one
to
right
place
now.
flags with bald
Yes.
heads on them.
I'm gonna work on that. Yes, we're gonna launch that. And Pete Harrington saying Shooty should have regenerated into Sweep. So there's a doctor. Oh, should have regenerated in Sweep. Okay. Pete, you're mad, you are. You are absolutely insane. And Jess is saying, JT, I agree. Hair. The only concerns I have that she is here today and gone. Hashtag RIP Doctor Who. Honestly. Doc Martin asking you, Bedouin, any audience appreciation index figures yet?
Nope, haven't seen any. I haven't had any pre-transmission numbers either for a couple of weeks, so that's gone quiet as well. They're not putting those out, so yeah. Not good.
RTD's writing is so inconsistent, says Smiling. I rewatched when Matt met Sarah, and it was written by RTD, and the dialogue was really good, and you could see the 10th Doctor behind 11 Eyes with the emotional scene. I'm looking forward to reviewing that episode again when we start our Sarah Jane Adventures reviews, because I remember being really took, because Jo was in that one as well, wasn't she? Katie was in that one. And I remember thinking, this feels like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It felt like Doctor Who. And a lot of people said that. Do you remember a lot of people of my age were saying Sarah Jane Adventures was more like our Doctor Who? I actually agree with that. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can capture that when we start looking at the reviews. And another super chat from Core of Sci-Fi Fantasy. Thank you, mate. I have every single Doctor Who newspaper cutting since 2005. So if you ever need anything, just let me know, guys. And you're much better. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, between you and me, because I've got every single newspaper cutting possible going from the beginning of Tom to the return of the series and David Tennant's casting. And then I thought, this is getting too much. And they're all in big folders over there. So between the two of us, we can do a whole show. Oh, I'll write that down. Pressure. There we go. You inspire me, you all do. Thank you very much for that. Well, listen, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. This was another one in our look at the effects of the reality war. It's not going to be the last, because this thing is not going away. This thing has happened. It's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of news coming about this stuff. There's a lot of news still to come. We've got the Sea Devil spin-off. Are they Sea Devils? We're going to be looking at that trailer for Wednesday's headline here on the channel at 8 o'clock. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, or you were so stunned by the stupidity of the reality war, it hasn't, like me, been taken in, you've got time now to look at it. We're going to be reviewing it, in a sense, on Wednesday and discussing about that. Oh, God. And what's going to be coming. So thank you, Dread Newt. Yeah, I remember that episode with Sarah and mate, it just gave me goosebumps. It was amazing. Yeah, there was a whole thing, wasn't it? Wasn't it the one where they're trying to get in with the key? And you got the flashback?
The Doctor was dead, and it was those big bird creatures, wasn't it? That were like big undertakers. And
with David Bradley's voice.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah. What series was that? Bedouin, can you remember what series that was? Was that 3?
Must have been series 3, yeah.
Yeah. Hope you're all going to join us for a little bit of I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a tonic, Sarah Jane, after what we've just been through. Honestly.
Is it 3 or 4? Oh,
and this one, hopefully, will have some special, lovely exclusives for us as well, maybe as well, if I talk to him nicely. You never know, as part of that series. Pete Harrington saying they're not the Sea Devils. Let's hope they're not. If you haven't seen it, by the way, go and have a look at the thumbnail for Wednesday's show. Don't forget to put a reminder to remind you it's coming on, because it's there. I've put it on there to say, what is this? It's a little quiz that we're putting together. And wrestling reviewer Daniel. Daniel is a massive Sarah Jane Adventures fan, aren't you, mate? So you'll be here, won't you, for our reviews? We're so far removed from Sarah Jane Adventures now, it's the only thing that still holds up well from RTD. Okay. Lots of things to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, series 3 was Tennant. Series 4 was Matt.
There we go.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. So that's all to come. The Sarah Jane Adventures were more like Doctor Who with a female lead, says Jane Smee. Exactly. Exactly. That's how you do it. And Pete Harrington saying to us, get your lippy Sonic out. Yes, it's all on the way for you, everybody. Well, listen, great show tonight. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope it was therapy.
Mhm.
It's something to give you nightmares. Oh, sorry, one
Oh,
bitch.
well,
And we'll be back on Wednesday, unless anything breaks tomorrow, because you never know what can happen in this crazy universe that they've created for Doctor Who. But stay with us. Please make sure that you've subscribed. Make sure you've rung that bell. If not tomorrow, we'll see you on Wednesday's headlines, where we'll have, hopefully, Bedouin with some update reports for you there as well. Ian, hopefully you'll be here. I'll be here.
Yep.
And Paul should be back with us as well.
as long as you don't put that photo back up, that's like a visual representation of acid reflux, isn't it? You don't.
we won't be doing that. We might be looking at some of the others, but we won't do that one again. Thanks to everybody for this joining us this Monday night. More therapy from Who's Views coming your way. Don't forget, however, prepare yourself for Sunday here on the channel as well, because we're going to go through it all again as we look at Series 2, Gatwa's last series as the alleged Doctor in Doctor Who, with our season overview. Everything. There's still a lot more to talk about. We are going to be looking at the lows and even more lows of the series that's just gone. So make sure you're with us for that one as well. Don't worry, we're getting back to Doctor Who very, very soon, I promise you. From Kirsty, the lady of the chat herself, from Bedouin, our ratings analyst, from Still a Tag Cross, Third Doctor Ian, and myself. We'll see you very soon. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Ta-ra.
Bye.
Night, everyone.
Really?